where the Islanders go, a little pick swap trade here. Mitch, I'm not going to lie to you. I really like this move. I think it's a shrewd move from Lou Lamoriello as the Islanders send their first and second round pick. So just to follow along at home, it's pick number 18 and 50. And in return from Chicago, they get pick 20, 54, and 61. So they move back 2 spots in the first round, 4 spots in the second round, and by doing that, acquire an additional second round pick.
I can't find any reason to not like this trade. There's no reason to not like this trade at all. Yeah, you move back 6 spots, but you get an extra one. It's the later portion of the second round, sure. It's still a friggin' second round pick. There's no reason not to like this trade, man. I can't fathom anyone like, this isn't going to help us going forward. It will in a bunch of ways. Or could in a bunch of ways.
Absolutely will. And I was going to go there with the next part of this conversation is I think this was a precursor move for something else. Whether that is acquiring, which I do think they end up using their first round pick to acquire an already NHL proven talent. But with 2 second round picks now, you have the opportunity to do the Josh Bailey trade, which you did just a year ago, where you attached the second round pick to Josh Bailey and clear $5 million off the cap. And you have JG Pajot, Anders Lee are the two, to me, that jump off the bat right off the jump street here.
Kyle, maybe. But yeah, like those are the 2 that you want to offload because you're not really getting fair value from that money that is blocking you from taking it or bringing in any other additions. Right. So, yeah, they make the most sense. And you're right. Like now you've got this second round pick where you can entice someone to take some of that monies where they may have been hesitant before. And you don't need this pick. You, the Islanders, you don't need an extra second round pick. I saw some people being like, this is going to help the pipeline. No, it won't, because they're not making that pick, baby. They're just not.
No, that's that's not going to be a thing, guys. So if you're hoping that, they're going to come away with 3 players in the top 61, maybe they come away with 1 in the top 61. Yes. I think the first rounder is going to go in a trade, and I think one of these 2 second round picks is going to be attached to one of the 2 guys I just mentioned, Anders Lee or JG Pajot. With Kyle Palmieri or Brock Nelson, I think they hold enough value where you could use them either in a trade, getting something else, or get an actual asset back rather than be like, hey, take on this guy on an expiring deal. Both of those guys are 30 goal scorers too, by the way, this year. So I'm not saying you're going to get a insane haul for them, but you can get something for them where it may be a little bit more challenging to move Pajot or Lee at this point. And as we've discussed many times, the Islanders need to make some changes especially to that forward group. So again, to me, this move was setting themselves up in order to do that.
Absolutely. Maybe Lou makes all. I know I was very absolutist in my statement beforehand, being like, they're not making any, and I don't like.
That's unlike you.
I know, right? It was very firm in my beliefs, which I am usually shaky as a door without hinges.
Middleman Mitch.
Yeah, exactly. But it's really hard to see them making all 3 picks, man. The only reason they would make all 3 picks is if Lou Lamoriello had tried to make said trades that we had mentioned earlier, and he just can't find a buyer, which I doubt. I very much doubt. You got a 20th overall pick. Someone's going to take that. For sure, someone is going to take that. Is it? The only issue is going to be, can the Islanders get something good in return for that? And that obviously remains to be seen. But it is clear that this trade is looking to put more pieces on the board so that the Islanders can make the moves they need to make. That is the number one purpose, modus operandi of this trade. And if they can't do that, then maybe there's like a contingency plan here that they draft said players. But that is like plan ZZZB type of thing. Like if you're looking at Excel cells, it's like the furthest thing from the main plan, which is bring in other people.
Yeah, it would be very, very surprising if they stood pat and drafted 3 guys with the picks acquired in this trade. But yeah, as we stated, we have no issue with it. The only thing, and not in a negative way from the Islanders' perspective at all, maybe you could make the case for Chicago, but this kind of feels more of like a draft day trade. Like from Chicago's perspective, why are you making that move now?
Yeah, that is a good point. Like, why would you go and do this now? You really got to move 2 spots forward in May when the draft is, I think, a month away, is it not? Like,
yeah, it's in June. It's in late June, like always. And unless is Chicago trying to make a trade and they're like, we want, and whoever they're trying to acquire, that team's like, we want 2 top 50 picks in this year's draft. I don't know if I buy that. This isn't really the draft class for that. What's the difference between pick 20 and pick 54 versus 18 and 50? Like, you're really going to have that much of a hard-nosed stance over it and not budge? I don't buy that.
So that kind of speaks to yet another win for the Islanders. And when I say win, I really want to be clear. Like, this is not a zero-sum game for me, whereas the Islanders win because the Chicago Blackhawks lose. The Islanders win this trade because they didn't lose it themselves. They didn't move something and be like, crap, that was a dumb idea. This hits on a bunch of levels. The level I want to bring up here is that you have, as you mentioned earlier, a weak-ish draft. It doesn't mean that the talent doesn't exist within this draft, but it drops off significantly from the top guys in Macklin Celebrini or Celebrini or whatever the way you want to pronounce his freaking last name. It drops off exponentially from him going forward. And when you're drafting 18th overall, like, you're not getting someone that you're not getting a game breaker. You might, right? Because again, we're drafting 18-year-olds, but the talent level falls off significantly here. And so moving back 2 spots means nothing to the Islanders. And to get a second round to do so, great. We probably, if we had to draft, the guy that we were willing to take at 18 is probably going to be there at 20 as well. What does that mean? And we get an extra one? I don't understand why we haven't seen more of these trades, honestly, from Lou. Like, this is great asset management that we have not seen from Lou Lamoriello, not once, really, right?
Well, it would be different if we saw it, like I said, not to just go back to the point I just made, but the reason why I don't think we've seen it is because it's kind of unheard of for something like that to happen at this point on the draft or on draft weekend. Sure, a little bit of a different story. Yeah, we could maybe see him move the board a little bit better or do some different things there. But again, from Chicago's side, I don't get this deal at all, unless there's something that we're just completely missing. If there's someone sitting there at pick number 18 that they really wanted and the Islanders moved back and this is what happened, okay, then they went up and got their guy. But right now, you have no idea who the first 17 players are going to be off the board for them.
If you like that, make sure to subscribe to Up the Turnpike on Patreon for more exclusive New York Islanders content.